Building a sound business environment is a critical platform for attracting investors, creating jobs and increasing people's earning power. On today's show, an initiative to put power in the hands of entrepreneurs. Plus, snippets of a few presentations from the National Honors and Awards. It's an informative program lined up for you today on Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Please stay with us.
That's the old way of doing things. Introducing Government of Jamaica Electronic Procurement, a speedy, transparent and accessible online method used to bid for government contracts. Contact the Ministry of Finance and Planning for more information.
Businessmen and women, members of the MSMEs, no longer do you have to visit several government agencies to register a company or business name. Visit the COJ. They are willing and prepared to assist you in filling out the new business registration form, more commonly known as the Super Form.
The overwhelming response from the majority of our customers is, why did this take so long to happen? There are persons who actually waited until January 2nd to come here to do their business because they wanted to avoid going to multiple government departments.
Click on ocrjamaica.com for more details.
The Development Bank of Jamaica, you may know it as the DBJ, will be hosting a one-day training workshop for lawyers. It will focus on the best practices for private equity and venture capital transactions. Next, we hear more about this program and other projects of the DBJ.
Thanks for joining us for Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. Today, we focus on the Development Bank of Jamaica's venture capital program, more particularly on a one-day seminar workshop, which will come up this Saturday. But there are other significant things taking place under this program. And we have with us the project coordinator, Audrey Richards. We thank you so much for your company.
Thanks for having me.
Good to have you on the show. I think we should start by explain what is venture capital and why is this important for Jamaica's economic development?
Venture capital is capital that is invested in high potential businesses. A venture capitalist, usually through a fund that he has raised by, attracting investors. Based on his expertise, he would have attracted investors to form a fund. The venture capitalists invest that funds looking for high potential businesses in order to invest and looking to expand and grow those businesses. Venture capital is sometimes called smart capital. Mm-hmm. Why smart capital? In that the venture capitalists not only brings funding to the business, but they bring their expertise, they bring mentorship, they put in technical assistance and help to build the capacity of the small business.
How is this different from regular foreign direct investment, from regular investment?
It is different in that a foreign direct investor will be looking for maybe one project that they'll be looking to invest and expand and probably bring in the same expertise. What a venture capitalist does is, as I mentioned, they establish a fund. And that fund typically is looking for several businesses in which they can invest. And usually the venture capitalist might have a particular expertise in an area. So he might set up a fund that is looking to invest, say, in technology projects or energy projects, that kind of thing, or any kind of project really. But the venture capitalist brings expertise and is looking to invest over several years in a particular enterprise. A venture capitalist is not a permanent investor, in that what they will do is, as I mentioned, they raise a fund, and over maybe a 3 to 5 year period, they would invest in several companies. After that, they then seek to divest these companies. So they're in there for a period of time, help to grow the companies, and then they can either sell it back to the original owner, or they can find a strategic partner, particularly if it's a company now that has become attractive to maybe a global player. It's particularly important to us here in Jamaica at this time, because a venture capitalist will look on businesses that a lot of our businesses do not have the kind of capital or access to the kind of capital that they will need to grow. You might have great businesses with great ideas, but they don't have the capital nor the expertise to be able to grow. So a venture capitalist brings that to the table and works with our businesses, whether it's a startup business or a more mature business that is looking to expand.
Good. So presumably there are billions in venture capital funds in the industrialized world that we can tap into. What would it take for Jamaica to have its share of venture capital, and what is the DBJ doing to ensure that Jamaica is in a position to do so?
There are several things, and the DBJ has recognized that as a public sector entity, as a development bank, the role of the DBJ has to be to build the environment for venture capital. Just like you'd be looking at things like Jamaica's competitiveness, global competitiveness, as measured by a number of institutions. You find that a venture capital environment, a lot of the metrics that they use for global competitiveness are the same that they use for venture capital. How entrepreneurial is your environment? What is your legal and regulatory framework? What is your tax environment? Things like even the corruption perception is a major part of what investors will look. And interestingly enough, earlier this year in July, Jamaica was ranked on the Latin American Venture Capital Association's scorecard. So they do a scorecard each year, or every 2 years rather.
How well are we doing?
And we were ranked 9th out of 11 Latin American and venture capital, Latin American and Caribbean countries. We were ranked above Argentina and the Dominican Republic. At the top of the list are countries such as Chile, which have developed very good venture capital, industries. The ranking also identified for us a number of weaknesses, which we believe that over the next year or two, we would have dealt with, and we would have moved up significantly in that ranking. One of the weaknesses is the regulatory environment when it comes to things like pension funds being able to invest in venture capital. And that is something that we're talking with the FSC on, and the pension fund industry is also talking with FSC, because pension funds are a natural fit, because they are long-term investors, and they have the patient capital that a venture capitalist is going to be looking for.
And Trinidad has for a number of years been outstanding in that area.
Right.
So it's not surprising that they are number one. We're looking at the area of venture capital. It is not an esoteric area. Many of you have good ideas, saleable ideas, but you don't have the funds. Well, today we can tell you how you can match your ideas with those funds. We take a break, but we'll be right back.
Hello everyone, you're watching Issues and Answers with Ian Boyne, the program where you get all your information about current affairs and government programs and policies.
Did you know climate change is decreasing the quality and quantity of water?
Climate change is expected to affect all aspects of food security, especially in the tropical region of which we are a part.
Climate change-related hazards such as prolonged droughts, more severe storms, and the overall irregularity of rainfall. These climatic stressors have resulted in a reduction of water in our rivers and watersheds.
Youth, we are depending on you to spread the message of climate change and its impacts. Be a climate change agent in your home, school, or community. With climate change, we must change.
There'll be a better tomorrow. 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 There'll be a day. There'll be a way. There'll come a time to sing a brand new song. There'll be a better tomorrow.
Project coordinator for the Jamaica Venture Capital Program, Audrey Richards, is with us. That's a program that falls under the Development Bank of Jamaica. So there's a seminar, workshop that is coming up this Saturday, specifically aimed at the legal profession, but also open to others, investment fund managers and so on. Tell us about that workshop and its rationale.
It's the workshop, as you mentioned, it's on October 31st. It's going to be at the Mona Law Faculty, and you know, it starts at 10 o'clock. It's from 10 until 4 o'clock, and it's going to be led by Mr. Douglas Lays, who is a former Solicitor General and is now in private practice. Mr. Lays developed for us what we call a toolkit, a legal toolkit. And really what it is a compendium of legal agreements, standardized agreements and templates, as well as the documenting best practices when it comes to doing venture capital and private equity transactions. And the reason why we're doing it is one, well, the DBJ was with the help of Compete Caribbean, actually developed that toolkit. It was done first by Mr. Lays. But one of the reasons, and one of the reasons why we did that, is that we believe that everybody needs to be on the same page when it comes to understanding the venture capital industry, understanding the kind of agreements, and introducing the best practices. We're not building just an industry that's going to be relevant in Jamaica. So whatever transactions we do have to be relevant based on international best practices. So that's the main reason behind the toolkit. Also, we hope that it will lower the costs of transactions. If everybody now has standardized agreements and everybody does not have to create their own agreements from scratch each time. So we believe that a cost factor as well as a knowledge factor were very important for us in developing this toolkit.
And training is an important part of the DBJ's work as it prepares to strengthen the environment for venture capital in Jamaica, isn't it?
It is absolutely important. The reason being, venture capital is a new asset class to many persons. Many persons would not have been involved in a venture capital transaction. And just like banking industry, where there's a lot of persons who have been trained in banking, in using the documentation, in undertaking transactions. If we're introducing a new industry, we believe that is very important, that the investors be trained, the fund managers be trained, lawyers, accountants, and of course, most importantly, the entrepreneurs be trained and understand what venture capital is all about.
There's a business model competition among students at the tertiary level, which provides an important mechanism for training and exposure to venture capital?
Our business model competition is now in its third year. And just like in the first year, we're even more excited because of the kind of response that we've gotten from the university students. The current competition takes place among 3 universities, UWI, UTech, and Northern Caribbean University. And it has impacted several hundred students.
So what students do? They come up with projects?
They come up with projects, some really fantastic ideas, research that some of them would have done. They've formed teams, and some of these are cross-discipline teams, in that you might have a biotech researcher who has formed a team with someone from the business school, and together now they have set up an enterprise, and this is an enterprise that is competing for within each university first, and then the best out of each university. The 4 best teams now compete in the national competition. The very first year that we competed, Herbu Enterprises, which was a team out of Northern Caribbean University, they made like shampoos and so on. Herbu went to the International Business Model Competition in Utah and placed 8th overall.
International competition?
International competition, and won the prize as the best international team, beating out teams such as Harvard and Cambridge and so on. So, I mean, we
some of these projects morph into actual businesses?
Absolutely, absolutely. And when you think about actual businesses, one example that I would bring at everybody, a lot of people don't know, is Jamaica Money Market Brokers.
It was a venture capital?
It was funded by venture capital. It was over 20 years ago. Right. It was a small startup that Joan Duncan started with about 2 or 3 other persons.
Noel Lyon.
And Noel Lyon, who headed Jamaica Venture Capital Fund, funded the project. And JMB now is a regional player, and who knows, it could be a global player one of these days. That is the kind of thing that, the kind of businesses that we want to see. We want to see more JMBs. We want to see more national, regional, global players that have been funded by venture capitalists. And in today's world, it doesn't matter if you don't have the natural resources. Look at Singapore. Singapore is one of the leading countries with venture capital and private equity transactions. We believe that our Jamaican entrepreneurs, we have the creativities, we have the great ideas. We basically can compete with anyone in the world, and we just need to give them that opportunity. And a venture capital industry will give anyone with a great idea that kind of access. So,
and the workshop this Saturday is a means of developing the knowledge.
Continuing that education. And as I mentioned the word continuing, I should mention for the lawyers that might be listening, is that they get continuing education credits from the General Legal Counsel by attending this workshop. So that's an added incentive because as lawyers, as you know, have to continue their education.
A virtuous cycle is created. So DBJ doing very important work in building an environment for venture capital expansion in Jamaica. With us today has been the project coordinator for the Jamaica Venture Capital Program, Audrey Richards. We thank you for your company. Next week I'll be back. Until then, Ian Bowen wishing you a pleasant day.
Guns are a significant problem in Jamaica, and that is why we have to move to do something about it. It is in this context that I am now launching a special initiative of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the Get the Guns campaign. You, the public, can keep illegal guns out of your communities by using all means to inform the police as to how illegal guns are stored and moved within the communities.
Download and use the Stay Alert app from the Google Play Store. Call 119-311-811 or the nearest police station.
Hola, me llamo Taje. Let's have fun at school this year. Want to buckle my shoe? C for shut the door. And let's learn new words like building. B-U-I-L-D-I-N-G. And vegetable, yum yum. V-E-G-E-T-A-B-L-E. Adios, amigos.
Jamaica, this is Kevin Downswell. We original. We were blessed. We have something about us that the world craves. We don't need to compromise. We don't need to rob. We don't need to thief nobody. Everybody who watch this have something unique in them that God placed in you, that was used to bring you favor, was used to bring you wealth. Find it. It's inside of you. Whether they're on the street side, something special inside of you. Whether they're at the bar or drink rum and you try to drink away your troubles, listen to me. And I'll say go. If you find that thing is what? It's the very thing that will bring you wealth, the very thing that will bring your life to a level you never imagined. Everybody out there have a choice. And my challenge to you is choose to do the right thing. Choose to not bust that gun. Choose to not smoke that weed. Choose the right thing. Your decision will create a habit, and your habit will create a future. That means if your decision is wrong every day, your future will end up being popped down. But if you decide that you're not going to do that, and you're going to stand up for the right, watch it. Your future big. You're blessed. Jamaica, you're blessed. Youth, you're blessed. Girl, you're blessed. Love.
Last Monday, I felt so proud to be a Jamaican, as everyday heroes were honored for their achievements in various fields of endeavor. We have the highlights.
The Badge of Honor for Gallantry, Dr. Rickard Shane Bennett. In July 2014, Dr. Bennett was at home when he heard a cry for help from his neighbor. He went to assist and saw his neighbor bleeding profusely from a punctured lung. He'd been stabbed by a member of his household. Dr. Bennett ran for his car, put his neighbor inside, and while driving with one hand, he depressed the wound with the other to reduce the bleeding. He then proceeded towards the St. Anne's Bay Hospital where he was employed. En route to the hospital, while trying to alert drivers to the emergency situation, Dr. Bennett met in a motor vehicle accident. He quickly gave his particulars to the other driver, then hired a taxi. As they made their way to the hospital, Dr. Bennett continued to depress the wound. He single-handedly brought the man into the operating theatre where he performed emergency surgery and with the assistance of his colleagues saved his neighbor's life. Mrs. Novlin Hilaire Williams-Mills.
For achievements in the field of athletics, Novlin Williams-Mills is best described as a champion both on the track and in her personal life.
And many people may know that she is a cancer survivor and had a mastectomy in January 2013. But despite those challenges, those life challenges, she went on this year to anchor
that
relay team. Yes,
and brought it home for us.
I'm telling you, it was something to watch.
Indeed.
Ms. Faye Audrey Ellington.
And we're celebrating with Faye this morning. Our very own Faye Ellington receiving an award for sterling contribution. She's a broadcaster, an actress, lecturer, trainer, and speaking coach, and has been in media since 1971, although she doesn't look a day older than 30.
Mr. Peter Donahue Prendergast. for his invaluable contribution to the advancement of Jamaica's football program and refereeing.
We know that Jamaica's football and refereeing development it just wouldn't be the same without Peter Prendergast. He's widely respected for his craft and was Jamaica's first referee to officiate in a FIFA World Cup. His commitment and dedication to football continues as he instructs and coaches Jamaicans and international referees to reach the pinnacle of their career.
Senator Norman Washington Grant, for outstanding contribution to the development of Jamaica's agricultural industry.
Now, if you think the JAS, the Jamaica Agricultural Society, you think Senator Norman Grant, and he's the current president, has been president for more than one term before, and successfully organizes the Denby Agricultural Show, and he's been doing that for many, many years.
I leave you with these words as you start your week. If you listen to your fears, you will die never knowing what a great person you might have been. Words of Robert H. Schuller. I'm Adrian Atkinson signing off for Jamaica Magazine. For more on the work of the Development Bank of Jamaica, click on our webpage, jis.gov.jm. We're also on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. So log on and stay in the know. Have yourselves a great Sunday.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.